Hello, everybody. Sorry, I'm a little late. Had some technical issues pop up at the last second. So, anyways, welcome and get ready because we're about to take it to the mic stand. Oh, as I'm the only one here right now, I guess I will get straight into it. Well, maybe we'll wait a couple minutes here. Here I am to save the day. It's Mighty Mouse. How are you doing now? Here I come to save the day. And I'm back now. So, see if anybody's popped in yet. No, doesn't look like it. Not there, not there. So, still the lone. One is the loneliest number that you'll ever see. Okay, well, anyway, so let's get started on this. Um, Bane creator Chuck Dixon explains why current writers can't tell good Superman stories. DC Comics writer and creator of Batman villain Bane, Chuck Dixon, recently explained why he believes that current Superman writers are unable to tell good stories about the Big Blue Boy Scout. And you see kind of a comic panel right here. Nightwing. Hmm, excuse me. Dixon comments came when he answered a fan question in his ongoing YouTube series, Ask Chuck Dixon. On Facebook, Andrew Runyon asked, same question I keep asking. Over the past however many years, Superman has been destroyed as a character. Do you think there's any hope that Big Blue will ever be restored to greatness? Or do you think we should grieve and move on as we would for a dead relative? Dixon initially responded by lamenting the current state of major franchises. He stated, well, there are so many franchises now that it's hard to be a fan of. I mean, it's hard to be a Star Wars fan, I know. I know I was a Star Wars fan for years, and they just ruined it for me. And I'm not angry about it. I'll just walk away. This is not Star Wars made for me. Other than The Mandalorian, I like The Mandalorian. He continued, Star Trek pretty much ruined for me the last few years, and Superman long ago ruined. Basically, when the classic guys, for me, the last classic guys, Jurgens and Ordway and Roger Stern and Butch Weiss. Um, when they left the Superman franchise, it was over. I didn't care anymore because they loved the character. Like here's a panel from a classic Superman story. When Superman was King Kong. Dixon then went on to detail why current curators are unable to tell a good Superman story. The problem that Superman has, and it's not really a problem, it's a it's not really a problem, it's a problem for the creators. Um, problem for the creators. It's a problem for the writers. They don't know how to write good stories about a guy who is a Boy Scout, a guy who has a moral spine, a code of behavior. He's a gentleman. He's a paragon of virtue. They simply do not know how to write that kind of character and make it interesting. Fiction continued, and yet the roadmap is drawn, even though that seems like a very tight set of restrictions. It's not. There's a lot of room in there to tell great stories. He elaborated, and people will say, well, he has the powers of a god. It's not interesting because how can you challenge him? Well, writers in the 50s and 60s certainly came up with plenty of ways to challenge him, a la kryptonite. See if anybody's popped in yet. Oh, somebody popped in. See, hello. How you doing? I hope you're enjoying the coverage thus far. Whoever just came in. See, we have a second person in here. So say hi if you'd like, and just sit back and listen to me talk about the story here. So the story here they're talking about. They did an interview with Chuck Dixon, who was the guy who created the Batman villain Bane, about why they don't write good Superman stories in the comics anymore. So that's basically what it came down. Good, it comes down to. So hopefully you'll enjoy it. Hopefully you'll enjoy hearing about it. So as I continue on here, Dixon then detailed that he struggled writing Superman in the past, but he would find ways to work it out. And I've been backed into a corner on Superman stories myself with more Waysinger process of what if Superman did this. Then you are like, how's he going to do this? Well, it's my job to figure out how it's going to work. I think what he's talking about there is what they called a lot of the imaginary stories, a lot of those what if stories. These are stories that ended up taking places on like different Earths. Like I think the story out of I think Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane number 19 took place on Earth 19. I think that's what he's talking about here. These what if stories or these, what they call the imaginary stories, these stories that aren't regular Canaan. These are like kind of, as he said, what if stories. What if this happened or what if that happened? And he was saying how it was up to him to figure out exactly how to pull it off. Like what if, for example, Superman and Lois Lane were married and had kids, for example, or what if they ended up becoming the foster parents to Supergirl? So there's a couple of situations they've done in alternate universes or alternate worlds. alternate Earths. So he continued, and I've been okay. And I've been in that corner, and it was tough, and it was challenging, but I did it. I didn't whine and cry and change the rules just to write my version of Superman or somehow alter Superman to my quote unquote vision. I think he's taken a jab at the let's see, Man of Steel, Man of Fire. I guess Chuck Dixon is not a big fan of the SJWs and all this agenda pushing. Let's see. Yeah, yeah, still person's I guess a bit shy. Okay, so Dixon then states, "Will he ever return to greatness? No. We are just going to have to remember the way he was until some other generation brings him up and takes him back to his former glory," which I think that's true. I think he makes a good point though, because this current generation of um, of comic book writers seems to have the virtue stick stuck so far up, you know what, and where that they're content to just destroy the Kanan and mythos. Excuse me a moment while I turn on my lights. But in the minds of the general public, the people just walking around, Superman remains the same. Superman is not altered by all of these different, especially comic book version of him, because most of the public isn't even aware of those changes, he adds. Dixon concludes, so I wouldn't worry about it. Superman continues to exist in the pop culture zeitgeist, and that is never going to change. He's still going to be the character we all know and love. He's still gonna, yeah. Basically, what I think Mr. Dixon is saying right there is Superman's going to basically be the Kryptonian who was raised by loving simple farmer parents who taught him right from wrong and taught him how to who emphasized to him the use of the importance of using his powers responsibly. So that's the whole key right there. Um, when Dixon isn't answering fan questions on YouTube, he is still saying he's still staying quite busy writing. He currently has Blood, the graphic novel, up for pre-order on Amazon. Dixon also has a story in the planetary anthology series Mars. Um, the prolific writer is also adapting John Ringo's Black Tide Rising series into graphic novel format. A crowdfunding campaign on Indiegogo for the first volume is expected to launch August 22nd. So basically, two days this Saturday, a couple days from now. And I guess this is the um, promo for it. Dixon also recently returned to DC Comics in March, where he penned a story with artist Scott McDaniels in the Robin 80th anniversary 100-page super spectacular #1 titled Aftershocks. Here's the him in a Nightwing, him and his Nightwing. Aaron! Ah, What do you make of Dixon's explanation regarding why current writers can't tell good Superman stories? Do you think we will see any good Superman stories in the future? Well, that's a good question to talk about. That's a good question to talk about. Let's see. See if I got any. Ah, anonymity. Hello. You got here, my friend. How you doing, man? Let's see what you have to say. Hey, just getting settled in. How's it going? All right, just covering story. The classic stories stick. Yes, they do. Yeah, I know you missed probably much of the article I read there. Basically, writer Chuck Dixon, they interviewed him to ask him why why the current writers can't write good Superman stories. And he actually alluded to the whole SJW problem in his answer. So, hey, anonymity, what do you think? Do you think Superman will return to form in the future or no? We have a third person in here. Who else has joined? We have a third person in here. If they want their comics to make money, he and all heroes will go back to being actually heroic. Yeah, again, the classics always stick. The classics always stick. Granted, I wasn't a big comic reader growing up, but I saw Superman, of course, growing up on Super Friends, and of course, watched many different animated forms of him, including not just the Super Friends franchise, but I've even seen in syndication old Filmation cartoons, old Filmation Adventure Superman cartoons, Superman, Aquaman, Adventure Hour. So saw, of course, the '90s DCAU cartoons with Superman the animated series and Justice League, and you know, most fans when they think of Superman, they will think of the Kryptonian who was raised by good parents who taught him the value of you know taught him the value of working hard and helping others, and not doing it for yourself but doing it for others. So um, also using his powers responsibly. Um, Let me see. I recently, started watching the 1988 Superman cartoon. That was a cartoon that came out just after, of course, um, the Crisis on Infinite Earths, and was using the post-crisis mythology. Much of it, of course, Lex Luthor being like the businessman and all that. So, um, one of the things Chuck Dixon talked about in there too in that article was how during Mort Weisinger's time as editor, they would be doing a lot of what they would call imaginary stories or what if stories. Like, what if this happened? What if, and making it work when people are saying that, oh, these people can't write a good Superman story because they can't, oh, he's got godlike powers, or, who can challenge him with those godlike powers, or he's too much of a Boy Scout, big blue Boy Scout. How can you really? Well, as he pointed out, they managed to find a way. You know, they managed to find a way for him to do that. Try something here real quick. Hey, Action Toy Channel, we're talking Superman here. Hello. We're talking Superman here. Chuck Dixon, they did an interview with Chuck Dixon, who the guy who created Batman villain Bane, asking him about how asking him about how asking him about how or asking him why they don't yeah, asking him about why he believes that they're not writing good Superman stories anymore. That was the crust of the interview, and so we're just talking a bit about it. And one of the other things I was talking about, of course, was the 1988 Superman series by Ruby Spears. One of the things is I recently started watching that, one of the nice little things about it is the Superman's Family album, which is a little tidbit at the end of that episode that goes back to his boyhood in Smallville. So interesting how they were depicting him as Superboy. Hmm. Yeah. As I said, I've seen Superman in many different animated forms, like from Filmation's The New Adventures of Superman from back in the 60s, when it was on syndication, in the 80s. Super Friends franchise, and then, of course, the DCAU, came in with the Superman, the animated series, and Justice League. So you guys have any favorite memories of Superman that you want to share? Yeah, I'll admit there. News-wise, things are a little light today. I only found one story, so that's why I'm just trying to do a little more editorializing here. And, like, you know, Superman was first introduced to us back in back on April. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Let me see. I know it was in Action Comics #1. Um, oh yeah, cover dated June 1938, published April 18th, 1938. Now that was at a time, of course, when when comics were published like 2 months in advance, usually. So if the cover date was October, it would usually come out, or June. June, it was the June. Actually, it was June 1938 was the cover date, and then the publishing date was April 18th. But that was when Superman #1. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that wasn't Superman #1. That was Action Comics #1. Oh, actually, it looks like you did write a couple more things here. I like most of the stories with Superman. Well, older stories. Yeah, I like a lot. You know, I did go back and read some of the. I read more of the synopses, and then I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but originally the Ultra Humanite was supposed to be Superman's arch enemy back in the Golden Age. Back, early on, now Ultra Humanite debuted in Action Comics number 13, and then Lex Luthor would come in later in Action Comics 23. So, in fact, the Ultra Humanite already had 7 encounters with Superman by Action Comics 20. So, you know, and they were depicting Ultra Humanite as that kind of brainy villain versus Superman's brawn aspect. But then Luthor started becoming more popular. Actually, what they said ended up happening with Luthor was they accidentally it was basically by accident that they had a panel of him without his hair because the Ultra Humanite is before transferring to Dolores Winters was a feeble bald old man in a wheelchair. His brain seemed to be the only thing that worked. Um, and of course, the Ultra Humanite was known for bouncing from body to body, basically. Lex Luthor initially was introduced in Action Comics number 23 as basically a megalomaniacal villain. So, and then the mythos developed to where Luthor ended up becoming Superman's archenemy in the Golden Age, continuing the Silver Age. Silver Age, they did something different with it where they made Superboy and Lex Luthor friends growing up, and then the lab accident turned Luthor against Superboy. Oh, five. We got 5 people in here now. Woohoo! 5 people now. Woohoo! I've been making DuckTales. Woo! You've been there and I've been away. Didn't know that. Yeah, well, didn't know that. Way to go. Excuse me a moment, guys. I have to check my phone real quick here. Give me a sec, guys. I gotta check something. Turn the ringer off here. Just so I'm not interrupted again. Okay, muted my phone there, so then that one we're not interrupted again. Okay, so let me see if I can get caught up with what some of the things because I know anonymity just asked a question. Versa didn't know that. Okay, the problem with no new stories is that they've made so many great stories that the bar is so high now that anything decent looks like garbage, and now it's all yeah. I mean, even Chuck Dixon in that interview I was reading off earlier, he was kind of alluding to that too. But one of the other things he was talking about was how I guess it does kind of go to what you're saying here is that a lot of people, well, Superman's got godlike powers, you know, how can you challenge him and all that? But as Chuck Dixon pointed out, they found ways in the 50s and 60s to do it, especially with the. Okay, I'm gonna go back up a bit because I know that. Let's see. Oh, this is probably. Oh, have you seen the cuties controversy yet? At first, I thought they meant those little orange thingies. Yeah, I actually did see. I did see. Like, I saw Yellow Flash's video on that earlier. Um, yeah, that's and in some respects, like on the one thing I can understand, understand a lot of people's disgust because these are children. Okay, these are legit children that we're talking about here, not just somebody who's just simply underage or underage, depending upon what how underage is defined. These are actual children that they're dealing with here. So, you know, and yet a lot of these virtue signalers are, they're not really saying a whole lot now about, I mean, they make a huge deal about Uzaki chan and even as we were reading yesterday, guys, about the Ruby fan artist who was doing the whole Ruby fan art there and the big stink they were making about that, you know. So I mean, but it's a lot of it's comparing apples to oranges too. Let's see now. Yeah, and then I already read that. Yeah, that's what they're calling it. A lot of people are calling it. Yeah, it's well, I know you guys are not gonna believe this, but to a certain extent, politics has always been in comics, believe it or not. It's real bad now because they feel like they can push the um push the envelope now, now that they don't have, it's almost like when the Comics Code Authority basically died out in 2011. I guess by 20, after Final Crisis in DC, in the DC realm or what have you, last 2 or 3 years, it's like this kind of slingshot effect in which they just have, in which they just kind of just gone just totally the other way. Now they can just push whatever agenda and shame the more traditional values. Um, I couldn't believe Netflix was okay with. Yeah, well, um, insert foot into mouth. Yeah, either anonymity. Apparently, age of consent in France was. Yeah, well, I told you guys this yesterday that the age of consent around the world, different countries, different provinces, states, whatever. There's going to be different 18. It's not like 18. Re, you know. I know here in America we like to think that 18 is this unilateral age of consent that everybody comports to. but that's not really the case. The age of consent varies. Now granted, we do have a national age of consent that's 18, but as I was explaining yesterday, we also have state by state age of consent's different. Age of consent's different up in Canada. The age of consent's different over in UK, France, as you noted, Japan. So, you know, so a lot that's one of the points that really get to me sometimes is people it's like a lot of times when people start making these complaints, they're applying their own legal or moral reasoning to it when maybe like as I was saying yesterday when we were talking about the Ruby fan artist. Um Maybe in the world of Ruby the age of consent is younger than 18, you know. So anyways, modern day politics, yeah. Oh yeah, back to my original point too. Yeah, comics have always had politics in them, anonymity. It's just that it's just really over the top now. Okay, you go. All right, all right, guys. If you can hear me, let me know. I'm sorry about that. The power. power went out here at my house. So, um, in live broadcast. Okay, can you let me go back and see what happened here because froze up. F in chat, yeah, F in chat because power went out at my house here. Hmm. Sorry about that, guys. Yep, just left us hanging. I wonder if. Yeah, I noticed, and I apologize. It was out of my control, guys. There we go. You back? You okay? Yeah, just we've had some power issues today for some stupid reason. I guess I gotta. Okay, there we go on the YouTube page. Yeah, I'm all right there. I'm all right there. Action Toy Channels. It's again, we've had some power issues today around the house, so unfortunately, that's what sometimes happens. You still trying to figure it all out. So, um, yeah. So anyway, so let's see. It's been we're at the 42-minute mark here. All right, just give me a sec, guys. All right, sorry about that. I'm back now. So we were talking about Superman. Excuse me, one more moment. Let's see now. We have 4 people in here, so that's good. Glad that people still stuck around. Let's see now, with all this goofiness and stuff like that. Where did the time go? Uh, well, we're still over 40 minutes, so that's pretty good. Yeah. So as I was saying earlier too, you know, with Superman, there were a lot of great stories. Chuck Dixon was talking about how with a lot of the SJW stuff going on that they were basically and just so you know, because my family, I guess, is trying to reactivate the powers by shutting off the power to the house. So I may end up going out again just to give you guys fair warning ahead of time. But anyway, I'm sorry if I got distracted a bit here, but Superman is so overpowered, he literally complained that he lives in a world of paper. Yeah, I made a bit. Well, yeah, I remember that line from the Justice League cartoons. You're right there, Action Toy Channel, right? I remember, I can remember George Newbern, saying that very line in, I think it was Destroyer, when he was in that all-out battle with Darkseid. I don't know if you guys remember that, but no worries. Thank you, Anna. So we have 5 people in here. Welcome to the 2 newer people who haven't been talking much. Um, I'm sure that Anonymity and Action Toy Channels as well join me in welcoming you to the Mikestand. It's a nightly niche newscast I do, where I usually go over news stories of niche topics. Today, of course, today seemed to be a bit of a slow day. The only story I could find was the Chuck Dixon interview on Superman. So we're talking a little bit more about Superman right now. Um, but if you have any questions or you guys want to comment or anything like that, I'm sure we love to hear what you have to say to those 2 newer people that are here. If you'd like to chime in and join in on the conversation. And if not, I hope you're enjoying the commentary and the discussion and all that. Um, yeah, so let's see. Final end of Brainiac was the 2-parter when he fought Darkseid. Yeah, from the Justice League cartoon of the 2000s. There. Yeah, I think it. Yeah, I. But the funny thing is that it wasn't exactly the end of him, because he'd come back in other episodes. He came back in a Static Shock episode, and later in towards the end of the Cadmus Project arc, in which he and Luthor kind of merged with each other. Or how they said he came back was he had, I guess, shot Luthor with with a nano, with a bunch of nanobytes or nanites or whatever, that would ultimately help Luthor develop more, become stronger, smarter, so nano machines. Yep, with nano machines. Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry, and man, I loved Static Shock as a kid. Yeah. Can you imagine that though? All of a sudden, one day you realize that you're like impervious to pain, pervious to illness. You know, you have like superhuman. You have superhuman strength and speed and endurance and stamina and all that. It's very interesting. Very interesting. Let's see. So yeah, you guys have any other Superman memories you want to share? The real question I have is where the main man Lobo is. Yeah, Lobo, who was voiced by Brad Garrett in his DCAU appearances. Brad Garrett from Everybody Loves Raymond. Um, Super stamina would be a curse. My wife would never leave me alone. Uh, you mean in terms of getting of doing chores around the house? Would she Action Toy Channel? Would your wife put you to work? Is that what you're saying? Honey, I needed to clean the gutters, and then I needed to mow the lawn, and then I needed to fix a shelf in the garage. Right? uh, oh, 50 minutes. The time does go, doesn't it? Well, 50 minutes since the start, and of course, did have that cut in a little bit because of the um, you know. So I'm wondering about the two newer people. How are you guys liking this discussion so far? You guys enjoying the talk and stuff like that? I'm waiting to hear from them. Let me just remind everybody for those of you who don't know this, I will be having the Knuckleheads on tomorrow night for an interview and discussion panel. So I'm excited about that. I know they were too, and I talked to them the other day. So I'll be having them on tomorrow night. Just hope I don't have all the all the all the stuff going on right now. So um, let's see. Laugh it out. No, I enjoyed that stuff. Uh, hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, if you love your wife, I'm sure you do. You know, I know in marriage, it's like making each other happy is the biggest goal of all, right? Mm. Superman, Man of Steel, Superman. Do do do. Yeah, Superman cartoons go all the way back to 1940. Fleischer Studios did their own rendition of Superman cartoons. Of course, Superman in the Fleischer cartoons and later in the Filmation cartoons is voiced by was voiced by Bud Collier. Um, Interesting thing in the 1960s Filmation New Adventures of Superman, which was shown in the 90s on Boomerang as part of the Boomer Action package as well. Superboy was voiced by Bob Hastings, who would later go on to voice Commissioner Gordon in Batman the Animated Series and in, of course, the DCAU as well. So, some more interesting little tidbits for you guys there. Um, just goes to show you how long some of these guys work, have been in the business and stuff, right? Yeah. So, yeah, but as I, you know, as hmm, let's see here. How about me? I'm like Al Bundy. uh, I really enjoyed in the older cartoons where Superman would fight giant robots. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I know you're probably talking about those. Those are probably the cartoons I'm talking about. You know, the Fleischer cartoons, based on a lot of the Golden Age work. Like, okay, in the Golden Age of comics, they didn't have as they didn't have as much have as much of a rogues gallery per se. You didn't have like the villain of the week or whatever going on. You just had a usually in most of the golden age stories they would have either the they would have either the they would have either the they'd either have Superman fighting gangsters or corrupt politicians. With the okay, I mean, he still had some of his rogues galleries: Luthor, Ultra Humanite, the Prankster, the Puzzler, who was more of a golden age. Puzzler was more of a golden age rogue. Um, so let's see, anything new here thus far? No, just that. Or it was in the Silver Age where Superman started fighting more giant robots as they started getting more into the sci-fi stuff more. The bird people who would dip people in gold was a fun one. Yeah, one of the ones that's crossing my mind right now is a Super Friends episode where Superman was affected by red kryptonite and he was turned into um, Super Brat, basically. And it was up to Robin and the Wonder Twins and Gleek to watch Super Brat till the red kryptonite wore off. And to make matters worse, Mr. Mix Yes Spitlick had to came into the. Excuse me a moment, guys. Gotta check something here. All right, I'm back. Oh, one person left us. That's kind of sad. Hmm. Yeah, so we're coming up on the hour mark then here. Hmm. Let's see, what else can we talk about here? Well, I know we were also talking about the cutie story and as it compared to the Ruby story as well. You know, you guys were asking me about that earlier. Said they were all over the whole Ruby thing, even though the girl was older, and then but yet not a peep out of them for the cuties. Actually, even using the term cuties is almost like I would almost say is almost like I don't know, um, luring almost. Like they're trying to draw a certain type of crowd in almost. Which, which if that is the case, then That's got to make, especially you action toy channel, who I know has kids or is mentioned as kids. You're probably not too keen on the idea of them pulling that off either. I don't know if you date yourself. I mean, you're probably around this, probably in that same age range that me and Batgoat are. You know, I mean, you're at least aware of some of the '80s cartoons, unless you were watching them as part of Boomer Action in the '90s. If you were watching them when more around the time, rules for thee and not for me, kind of thing. Yep, yep. I watched a lot of cartoons in the '90s and some in the early 2000s. Yeah, I've watched cartoons a good chunk of my. I mean, I watched cartoons. I was born in '75, so I've watched cartoons '70s, '80s, well into the '90s, and even into the early 2000s. Probably only been the last few years that I actually stopped watching newer stuff. I watch newer animes, but in terms of newer cartoons, like some of the stuff that's out now, don't watch. You know, I mean, I'd say if you want to talk about cartoons, like aside from let's say like some of the DCAU stuff and like let's say and like some of the newer versions of like Green Lantern, Young Justice, some of those that came out there in the latter part of the 2000s. Um, some of the newer cartoons I watched would include like Dexter's Lab, Dexter's Lab, Codename Kids Next Door. I'd watch those kind of like if I'm flipping through the channels and I happen upon them, I might stop in and watch that stuff. But on that, I don't really get too much into newer stuff. A lot of my expertise is more '80s and before. So, and another person dropped out, I guess. Ah, heck, no cuties is branded. Oh, no, heck, no cuties is banned. Yeah, and I don't blame you for banning it. There, Action Toy channels. Your kids don't. I've seen Dexter and some of those. A lot of streams tonight. Yeah, yeah, I know that Crow was streaming tonight. Um, Probably spreading the pool a bit thin there. The Crow is let's see who Crow is streaming. He's talking about that very thing. Let's see. Anime Matsuri is streaming. So those two are two I know of who are streaming other than myself. Um, oh yeah. Okay. I got rid of Netflix when they got rid of Futurama, and I've never looked back. I've never had Netflix. So, uh, Cecil is live, and I think Tug might still be live. And Flash was, yeah, I got a notification earlier that Flash was on Twitch earlier. I didn't know though that Tug was actually. You think he's still live right now? Oh no, actually he's done. He's done. I think because shows on my thing that the gray television screen is up. So yeah. So and I know Tug's been really been covering the whole Amber Heard Johnny Depp situation. Just not something I'm not really big on mainstream Hollywood. Mainstream media. I prefer just keeping it to the niche stuff. Prefer giving people a chance to escape. So got ya. Sometimes he goes pretty late. Yeah. So okay. So let's see. We're just past an hour here. Yeah. So let's see. I don't watch Tug or Cecil. Not really a comics guy there. Action Toy Channel. Are you more of a classic cartoon guy like myself? Hmm. Yes, I'm right. Yeah. I am. I'm just done listening to all the BS and Siege. Mm. Yeah, it's kind of funny because I've had a YouTube account since 2013, but I only started like doing videos and stuff like a year ago, a little over a year ago. Back last, actually no, I actually started back May of 2019, I believe. In fact, um, and part of the reason was because of the whole Vic situation. I felt like I wanted to add my own 2 cents on the topic. So I started doing videos, and then of course this past month I decided to do streaming. Because I felt I could do more with streaming, having the interaction with people. You know, um, having this kind of back and forth like we're having right now. Um, Pretty cool. Chickens. Yeah. So I'm with CG, so I follow a lot. To me, when people say that, it's funny. Well, I mean, anonymity. I can understand. I think I can understand. Action Toys Channel. Action Toy Channel's viewpoint there. I mean, after a while, I mean, I like to, and I still, you know, and I do stories on Comic Geek here and there. I mean, we did one last week, right? But at this point, with that kind of stuff, with the SJW kind of stuff, a lot of it's just more rhetoric now. It's not really new. It's not real newsworthy because it's just still the same old, baloney. It's like I hate you, you hate me, we hate we. It's like um, it just after a while, just sometimes you just want to dive back into your comic books and just let it go. I quite honestly, I'd rather be hanging out with Superman or Batman, or even find myself on whether you want to call it Paradise Island or Themyscira with all those Amazons. That might be fun. And we have somebody else who just came back in with us. Hello, fourth person. Welcome back. How are you doing? I hope you're enjoying the stream. And just a friendly reminder that tomorrow night we'll have the Knuckleheads on for an interview. Or the person just came in. So hope you'll come back for that. All I know is I went to CG after I was told I wasn't wanted as a customer. Plus, it's more friends hanging out having a good time when people act like it's only them talking about that. It's pretty lame. Hmm. Yeah, I'm sure that when those who are trying to get your business are telling you how they feel, all this elitist attitude is just it will turn people away faster than. And I just want to read the comics I like. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, you know, now when I went, now I've what I've done before is I've gone back and I've like, one of the sites you guys see me use on here is my pretty good, comic synopses on there at times, particularly for DC. Um, and I'll read the synopsis, and sometimes if the story's interesting, I'll even go back and find a site and read some of the older comics. And some of those are pretty interesting stories. So yeah, well, the power issues and all that just kind of just sapped. It didn't just sap the house's energy, but seemed to sap my energy too. Trying to keep the conversation. I had a box full of comics that sold for 25 cents. Yeah, comic books were a dime back in the golden age, back in the 30s and 40s. They were a dime for a long time. Then they went up to 12 cents and eventually went up to a quarter. But, just goes to show you how things change over time. Now, from what I understand, most comics are like $4 or $5 a comic or 32 page. There was a time you could get a 64-page comic, a good anthology comic, for 10 cents. And now you get a 32 to 40-page comic that's only featuring one character and one story, you know, for like $4 to $5. Go figure, huh? There aren't even many comic shops left near me. Well, yeah, I know Yellow Flash has been talking about a lot about that. That with everything going digital and all that, the comic book shops are dying, seem to be dying out. Me either, and then yeah. Excuse me a moment. Let me go on. Okay, so sorry about that. I'm back now. Okay, so I used to have that dresser. Oh, the dresser behind me? Talking about the dresser behind me? Oh, wait. There is one shop. It's 45 minutes away. Um, they mostly sell vintage toys now. Yeah, I mean, I know toy collection's still highly popular. I mean, even when I was still doing like the convention previews, if you guys remember the convention previews I would do, I saw any of those. Um, there are a lot of toy shops and toy conventions as well. Um, so yeah, maybe when hopefully all this COVID stuff dies down enough and people start going and people aren't worrying about whether or not some venues are requiring masks, not and some aren't. Maybe I'll start doing convention because there's not a whole lot of conventions going on nowadays. And it's understandable, but still. Yeah, most of the people aren't even wearing the right mask. Well, be quite honest, I won't even wear a mask. For me, it's too much of an obstruction. So, so I'll just find businesses that don't require the mask or won't make a big deal about wearing a mask, and I will give them my patronage. So, yeah, okay. So now we just got past the 115 mark. We're like 117. So I think it'd be a good time to start wrapping this up then. So, how would you guys feel about this day in Nietzsche history? All venues here, if they run its mask and gloves, and the venue has to be able to do social distancing. Yeah. So, yay, yay! Okay, let me just review my little notes here. 25th, let's see, 1997, 2015, and 2012. Okay, so here we go then. History is so fun. Yeah, it's always fun to find out interesting older stuff or reminisce about stuff. Hey guys, and I guess the newer person in here, the fourth person, well, let's see, Mike's fun to watch. Well, thank you for that comment there, toy toy action channel right there. Okay, so let me find the first little screen to share. Okay, and here we go. So, first little tidbit in the history is we go back to 1997, 23 years ago. On this date in 1997, um, Images Top Crow imprint would put out on the newsstands the 35th and final issue of Cyberforce. On this date, 23 years ago in 1997, Cyberforce number 35, the last issue of Cyberforce, would go out in newsstands, published by Image through their Top Crow imprint. And you see the thing right there. You see the cover right there. Cyber Force, which is of course not to be confused with Ethan Van Sciver's Cyber Frog, That's a different book altogether. Let's see. So stop the share, and I see there's a few other. Mike has a lot of info. He does. Yeah, I always do. I always do my homework on this, at least on this stuff. It's always fun to share with you guys too. I haven't. I have some Cyberforce comics. Oh, so I guess hearing this news then is pretty interesting for you then, huh? Yeah, the last issue, number 35, went on sale on this date back in 1997. You know, so that must take you back a bit. Hey, Action Toy Channels. My buddy might had a few Cyberforce issues. Looks familiar. Hmm. All right, so now let's go move on to the next little tidbit of history here. Okay, so on this date in 2012, which was 8 years ago, um, Rampa Trigger Happy Havoc, the murder mystery visual novel adventure game was first ported into iOS and Android. On this date in 2012, Rampa Trigger Happy Havoc, the murder mystery visual novel adventure game, was ported into iOS and Android on this date in 2012, which was 8 years ago today. So for those of you who are Rampa fans, um, hopefully that's very. Um, I hope that's a very interesting memory for you guys to hold. And finally, on this date in 2015, 5 years ago today, another show came to an end on this day. Um, on this date in on this date in 2015, 5 years ago, Fusion TV canceled the adult animated comedy sketch show Like, Share, Die. Um, it was a adult animated sketch comedy that ran through 2015. Apparently, it didn't last only 16 episodes, and had its last episode on this date in 2015, 5 years ago today. So that's all that I could find for this day in each history. Only three of the genre areas today. That I see you guys have a couple other comments here. Danganronpa made a great anime as well. Don't remember that one. Like Shirt, well, it wouldn't surprise me. I guess it was on. I didn't even know about it until I actually found it out here. It was apparently on Fusion TV. It lasted only 16 episodes and it ran from I think January 2015 to August of 2015. So that's the gist of it right there. So with that, so how have you guys liked this stream tonight? I know we had a little bit of a technical hiccup there with the power going out and all that. But otherwise, I hope that I was able to entertain you. I'd hope to inform and entertain you guys, even though I only had the one story. And then after the power issue, that of course got my mind kind of scatterbrained a little bit. It was fun. Always good to be here. Yeah. Well, guys, don't forget that tomorrow night I will have Knucklehead here from Beyond AK Chrysidia Homes and Mr. Hop. We'll be talking conventions, their convention experience both as attendees and as runners. We'll be doing some niche talk. And then and then and then hopefully we'll have a very good time. I'll of course have my this day in each history. Of course, won't be having any news items because they'll be the main news item, obviously. So but I hope to see you guys back here tomorrow night. As always, guys, I appreciate the likes and the shares. If you guys can always like and share when you come in, I'd be appreciated. Hopefully, we can get more people in. We had a couple of extra visitors tonight, so that was cool. And to the new person who came in and visited us tonight, I hope you found the stream entertaining and informative. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope to see you back again soon. And as always, guys, if you like this content, please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. As I always like hanging out with you. And help us get some more people in here and we can have a greater conversation and stuff like that. So, with that, I shall bid you all a good night, and I will see you tomorrow night for the Knuckleheads interview. Bye! You're welcome.